This is episode 535, The Cost of Silence, Reclaiming Your Voice in Relationships with Mel. Welcome to Life Coaching with Christine Hassler, a space where truth and love come together to guide you back to your truest self. Hi, I'm Christine, a master coach, author, and spiritual psychologist. For over 20 years, I've supported people through the deep work of letting go, waking up, and coming home to who they truly are. Each week, you'll hear an unedited, unscripted coaching session with someone moving through a challenge or block in their life. These are tender and powerful conversations where deep healing happens in real time. Even though I'm coaching someone else, you will hear yourself in their story. This is a place where you will feel seen and supported and walk away with insight, emotional relief, and tools you can apply in your own life. Let's dive into today's session. Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. This is a super important episode for anyone who feels unhappy in an aspect of your life and like someone in your life, someone you're in relationship with. It could be marriage, it could be partnership, it could be friendship, it could be business, is sort of running the show and you're just kind of waiting for them to change. You feel like you're doing your part, but they're not stepping up to do their part. If you relate to any of this, I really want you to listen because oftentimes that's a result of doing what's called the merging pattern, which is kind of like people pleasing, but it goes even deeper than that. And I explain it even more in my coaching call with Mel today. But a pattern I see among people, especially women, is being so disconnected from our needs that we end up in situations where we overfunction and enable another person to underfunction. And it's easy to kind of become the victim, make them the villain because we're doing this work. But our comfort zone may be doing all our internal work where we actually really need to step up externally, meaning we need to speak up, we need to clarify our needs, we need to have boundaries, and we need to actually have the confrontation that we're frightened of. Keep this all in mind as you listen to my coaching call with Mel. Mel, welcome to the show. How can I help?
So I've been having some trouble with my partner. We've been together for a bit more than 16 years. We've got 2 children. They're 5 and 7. And we've had quite big ups and downs throughout our relationship. But the last year and a half to 2 years, things have become quite tricky. He's dealing with some health issues that have led to depression. He's had depression in the past, but he's never sort of had it diagnosed and he's never taken any medication for it. So I guess you could wonder, is it depression or is it just mood swings? And in that last period I mentioned, in the last 2 years, our arguments have become just really tricky to handle. I'm quite worried bringing things up when I get annoyed by stuff because often he just blows up and leaves the house or leaves the room. This is with the kids in situ. Arguments never get loud because we're trying to hold it together for the children. And often when he then comes home, I'm either already in bed or he goes to the living room. And unless I bring up the argument or kind of go in with what's happening, what's going on, nothing's offered from his part. Apologies come very rare. And I'm just at a point where I'm like, what am I doing? This just doesn't feel right anymore. But at the same time, we have 2 kids. I do love him. I do want us to work, but I feel like I'm putting in all the effort on the emotional part.
Well, it does sound like you are putting in all the effort, right? It seems like whatever is at the root of him, and it's usually multidimensional, right? Like usually there's some kind of terrain things going on. I mean, there's so many things that can really mess with our brain, everything from toxins to mold to infections to who knows what. And then there's unprocessed childhood stuff. And then there's just his nervous system and the way he's wired. And then there's attachment and there's his personality pattern. So there's so many things here. My question for you is, in the course of your relationship, what has been the thing that's connected you? What has been the thing that has brought you together?
Gosh, that seems such a simple question. And yet I find that quite hard to answer.
Well, let me ask a different question if that one's hard to answer. What made you choose him as a partner?
I mean, it was an instant. I met him in a bar. I saw him first, per se, as the story goes. I thought he saw me, but I saw him first. And I just did a double take on him. And I was just sort of like, it was a true kind of romantic moment for me. And then we started talking, and we have a shared passion for travel. It was sort of just a huge amount of fancying him, and that hasn't really ever stopped from my side. But I don't know how it is from his. I've had these conversations before with him of love and all that, and the words come out, but the actions aren't always there. So this walking out on me or on the situation, I wouldn't even say it's walking out on me, but it's a walking out of the situation, where I agree with you. I think his nervous system is really challenged, and he's just kind of escaping that moment. But
Right.
I definitely take it personal, and I'm thinking, no, I can't have this.
Yeah. I think there's a difference between taking something personally and having emotional boundaries, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the danger of taking something personally is then we're collapsing timelines a bit, meaning he's probably pushing up against some family of origin wounding. So your executive functioning, your decision making, even your emotional nervous system response is not going to be present day. Does that make sense what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other part of taking it personally is when we take something personally, we kind of can move into a codependent or victim
Mm-hmm.
or a combination of both of trying to get relief for ourselves by fixing, changing, instigating, inspiring something in the other person. So our whole reference point for our well-being and our return to safety is through an outside source.
Mm. Interesting.
Do you know what I mean by that? I can put it
I
more
see.
simply. It's like
Mm-hmm.
when we take something personally, that hits a survival wound of belonging and
Mm-hmm.
love and acceptance. So we will move into whatever maladaptive strategy there is to try to get that love back. So we will become more needy or more victimy because maybe that will get the attention. We will overfunction because maybe if we make everything okay, it will somehow make them okay. We will try to rescue or solve. There's so many strategies we can go into when we take
Mm-hmm.
something personally, and that survival need, that surely developmental need of feeling safe and loved and belonging goes away. We will do whatever we can to try to get that back. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in that, like you're in a part of your brain that is going to be more wired for survival and not necessarily like what is truly for your highest good.
Mm.
So I know this is such a hard hypothetical to answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. And if you feel like you can't answer it, we can move along. If you didn't
Mm.
have kids, would you still be with him?
I think so. Um, you're right. It is a hard question to answer, and I'm glad you're asking it, because although the bridge of me crossing the bridge of not being with him I've crossed that loads, and the kids are a big reason not to
Mm-hmm.
cross that bridge. But
Mm-hmm.
I've never asked it in reverse. In a way, this is almost a reverse question. And whenever we're not with each other physically, he's away or I'm away, I really miss him. And I come home and I do say that, and he says the same. So again, the words are there. There's such a big discrepancy between his words sometimes and his actions other
Yeah.
times. And
Yeah.
that makes me not trust the words anymore. Because
Sure.
although I kind of feel like I think he loves me, I think he's true in that moment, how come he can go so far down, almost below belt, to kind of say things or do stuff that hurts me so much?
Yeah.
But I also hear what you said about the taking it personally and how I'm moving into that victim kind of role. And sometimes the control role, where I'm the one fixing it after, and I sit down and I instigate the conversation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I don't, yeah. So my answer to your question is I think I would still be with him trying to fix it.
Yeah.
Trying to
Right.
fix it. Yeah.
Right. Which is not your role and you can't do.
Yeah.
So we always choose partners because there's something huge we need to learn and a pattern we need to stop for our soul evolution. So what do you think he's teaching you about yourself?
I mean, the word that jumps straight in my head is self-love.
Okay.
He's tried, well, just from the beginning, I would consider describing him as a free bird. He doesn't respond well to neediness. And I think I was very needy initially. And I sort of found, although it was very hard for me, I found a way to not be needy. But not by dismissing what I needed, by giving it more to myself. And that was very good. And I think with years under our belt and kids and all that, I probably have lost some of that self-love. And I'm maybe looking for it again within him, and he just can't give it to me.
Yeah. Well, I think you're also looking for control and safety, right? And security and certainty. Living with someone who emotionally can be unpredictable. I'm sure there's predictable unpredictability, but it's very jarring to our system. And so what it feels like to me is, so self-love is very broad. And there are many aspects of love. I'm sure if you think about when you love your children, there's many aspects to that. There's the nurturing them and telling them beautiful things. There's making sure they don't run into a street when there's cars there. There's teaching them how to stand up for themselves. And then there's like really being in your power and having loving boundaries with them. And so perhaps part of what this relationship is asking you to do, because often when we fall into some of the patterns you're talking about, we think our power comes from changing or healing or kind of loving someone else into being able to love us, like doing what we need to do to make them better or whatever. But your true power comes from really holding loving boundaries and really being clear on what your requests of him are. Not in an ultimatum sense, but in a sense of, in order for me to stay in this relationship and thrive, these are some of my needs. Because self-love isn't just meeting all our own needs ourselves. We live in an interdependent relational world. Part of self-love is being an advocate for what we need. Yes, we can't expect someone to fix us or change us, but we do have needs and agreements in relationships.
Yeah.
So what are you not asking for that you want?
Gosh, I feel like I've asked for it, but maybe not clearly.
Tell me how you've asked.
So maybe as part of a conversation after the fact, he would walk out, he comes back. No, I don't think I've asked.
Okay, what do you need?
So this may sound, again, quite controlling, and I don't mean it in I want to know where you are at every moment in your life at all. But he quite often leaves, and I have no idea where he is. Again, there's quite a lot of trust. I don't think he's off with someone else in another. That I really don't have that fear. It's more hey babe, I'm just gonna quickly go, I don't know, to the shop, to them, go to the pub, go and see a friend or whatever. But he's literally just out the door without a word. And so
has it always been like that, or just lately?
I would say it's always been like that. Okay. Maybe more or less, sometimes more, sometimes less. When we're not good, definitely more. And I feel like I remember conversations in the early days where I would sort of question it and kind of go, where were you? Or, oh, I didn't realize you had left. And he's like, well, I don't have to excuse myself in every moment. And
yes, he does. Yes, he does. He's a married man with children. And this is where I really want to call you forward into your power. Yes, he does. If he doesn't want to be
Mm.
accountable to anyone, he can go be single.
Mm.
If my husband left and didn't tell me where he was going, that would not happen.
Mm.
And vice versa. So I think part of what has kind of gotten you into this place is out of love and out of fear. And this probably, without unpacking your childhood, comes from something there of like not being a stand for your needs and having
Mm.
really porous boundaries.
Yeah.
And so the question becomes like, at the risk of pissing him off, or even at the risk of quote unquote losing him, because that's where our mind goes, like,
Mm.
are you willing to be a stand for what matters? Because in a family, and I don't know if you're married or not, but you're basically married, you live together and you have children together. So
Mm.
even if there's not the legalities of this, he is in that role of a husband and a father. Doesn't matter if there's a legal certificate or not.
Mm.
These are agreements. And so probably one thing that may be helpful is to have some agreements around
Mm.
like what do you need and what works for us as a family. And as your partner and as a mother and as a wife, I actually do need to know where you are. Not because I'm nosy, not because you're not free, not because I'm not trying to control you, but my nervous system. It's very hard for a woman to track if she doesn't know where someone is.
Mm.
That's very draining on the nervous system. To not know where someone's going or when they're leaving. And that probably brings up some inner child stuff for you. So I just want to stand with you and say, you have every right to ask for this. It's
Mm.
more than okay. So what comes up for you when I say that?
What comes up is that I've known this for a very long time, and this is obviously just one of probably several needs that I have, and I really need to dig and ask myself more and really get clear on what it is that I need, I think,
Yeah.
coming out of this conversation. But what
Yeah.
comes up is that I've let this go for 16 plus years, and my go to, what I'm jumping to, is him saying, well, you've known this for this long. And, when I speak about his way of talking to me or words he's using, he goes, well, that's the way I talk. And that's another thing. I've known all these, call them flaws or whatever. I've known these things that to me are important, but I haven't done anything about because other things have taken priority, or I really wanted to make this work for whatever reason. And I can just hear him say, but you've known this about me. I'm not changing now. And
Mm-hmm.
part of me is sort of my conversation with him in my head. I feel pushed into a corner of what I'm going to do because he's right. I have let this slip. And so my thinking is how dare I am now to bring it up now rather
Mm-hmm.
than having crossed these
Yeah.
bridges
You can say,
before.
you're right. You have been like this. And I'm asking for a change. I'm asking for a shift. Our relationship isn't in a good spot. We're at a crossroads of whether we're going to
Mm.
stay together or not. I think this is part of a bigger conversation with him, Mel, of like carving some time out where the kids aren't around for you two to really sit and talk about, okay, we've been together 16 years. Let's divorce this version and like, let's really create something new.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do better than our parents did for our kids. We clearly aren't in a great spot. Let's really talk about what we need. I have needs. Maybe you have needs. I don't think this is a one off conversation. And if he says, I've done this, you've known that, you can say, you're right, I have. And I've also betrayed myself and just tolerated it when it's bothered me for 16 years. And I actually
Mm.
am asking you to change something. I am. Yes. And that's a
Mm.
relationship. That's a relationship, Mel.
Mm.
And you know, this probably isn't a conversation you have tomorrow. You probably need a little bit more support because it
Mm.
seems like you're really in some codependent merging pattern coping strategies that have kept you safe, but have gotten you in a position where you are riding someone else's waves.
Oh my God, so much. 100%.
And like you don't like surfing, but you think it's
Ugh.
your only option.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would he ever do coaching or counseling with you?
We've had this conversation probably about half a year ago. And he said to me then that he doesn't think we need it. And that makes me not so much worried that he wouldn't ever go there. He's had counseling, coaching himself before himself, as in
Mhm.
for him. Yes, I said that. But I think what made me realize then was that I don't think I'm clear enough where I'm at.
Yeah, I don't think you are.
Mm.
I think you got to be a little more clear. What's something that gets his attention? Is it the kids? Is it what's something that actually penetrates him and gets to his heart?
Probably friends. I mean, obviously the kids, but that's often a trigger on his nervous system as well. Noise, and there's probably hypersensitivity in him as well that's undiagnosed. But I would say his friends get more into his heart.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? Is that what you're asking? Like how,
Yeah,
as in what way would I get to him? How could I
yeah,
communicate? Or, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So how would you use his friends as an avenue to open his heart?
Oh, I see. That's what you're saying. Okay. So, kind of pretend I'm in that. So if I had said kids, you would say, how would I, as one of our kids, get to him? Is that what you're asking?
Well, you know, do you have a daughter or two sons? What do you have?
One daughter, one son.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if this would work, but it may be something like, we're modeling right now to our kids what a
Mm,
relationship looks like. And they're going to pick based on us. And
mm,
I don't know about you, but I don't think we're doing a great job. And for the sake of us and for the sake of our kids, I want to uplevel our relationship. And I don't think we can do it on our own. And
mm,
I've found these two coaches or counselors and pick one and I'll set the appointment.
mm,
Not would you do this with me?
mm,
More, this is what's happening. Because my sense is you probably do need a third party until you establish more of your sense of self and kind of break out of this merging pattern that you're in.
mm. Would you pick someone for the two of us rather than someone for myself first to get really clear on what it is that I need from him?
It's really up to you. My sense is it'd be easier to do it. Like your default would be, I'll just get someone for myself
Yeah,
and delay really
yeah,
standing in what actually needs to happen. And
mm,
a good
yeah.
therapist or coach will help you decode that.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's more fear. Like you said, it's easier for me to tackle it myself because that's what I've always done.
Right.
I've
And
worked
and
on our relationship on my own without him
yeah,
working on our relationship.
yeah, which isn't possible in a relationship. There's you, there's him, and there's the relationship. And yeah, both
Mm,
people need to do their individual work. But if both people aren't working on the third entity of the relationship, good luck.
mm,
Good luck.
yeah.
So I know this is big for you. This is a big pattern break for you to be an advocate for your needs, to not try to get your needs met by being a chameleon and kind of tolerating and being kind of, you know, not necessarily a doormat, but more of a people pleaser
Mm,
to calm the bear so that maybe the waves aren't so sharp
yeah.
and rapid, right? And so this is a big deal for you, Mel.
Mm,
And he's the perfect person for you to be a stand for like what you need and what's okay and what's not okay and what you want a partnership to look like.
yeah, I think you're right.
Because from what it sounds like, and it doesn't, I'm not throwing him under the bus. It sounds like he has more, for lack of a better word, power in the relationship.
Mm,
And it's not about you having equal or more power, it's you becoming empowered. Does that
yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, completely.
Yeah. So, what do you see as your next step?
Well, really, exactly what you said. I'll be looking at a couple of coaches or counselors, see which way I'm going. I've had counseling and coaching before. I'm not quite sure way is right for us, and we might just need to try different ones. But I do think we need help for sure.
Yep. Yep.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I just really encourage you, and it sounds like you're going to take action on this, because this isn't just about your marriage. This is about a huge pattern break of you actually recognizing your needs are okay. You have a right to have them. And it's okay to ask things of people.
Yeah.
And not overfunction.
Yes. Oh my God. You're ticking all the right boxes. Overfunctioning is definitely in there.
Yeah. And be more
100%.
Yeah. Be more scared of what this is going to do, because it doesn't matter how much exercise you do or how much good food you eat. If the nervous system is overfunctioning, it catches up with us. Nothing can override that. So this is big for you. And I know you can do it. And, be more committed to being an advocate for yourself, stepping into your empowerment, which is a huge part of self-love, than you are to your fear of upsetting him. It's okay if he gets upset. You've been masking your upsetness for 16 years.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
You can do this
as well. Yeah, I can do it. No, I'm definitely going to take action. It's led me to message you, and I've been picked incredibly quickly, and I just think it's a sign as well. It definitely has to happen for lots of people's sake. So
yeah. And for his growth too, because clearly the way he's living is not working. But we're not doing this for him. We're doing it for the entity of the relationship, for you and for your family, right?
Yeah.
You got this.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. My pleasure. All right, Mel, thank you so much for your vulnerability and being on the show today. I really hope that you were able to, you, Mel, and anyone listening, see how being disconnected from our own needs gets us into situations where, quite obviously, needs aren't being met. And so often it's easy to point the finger at someone else, at everything they're not doing, when we feel like we're doing our inner work. But often the hardest inner work for someone that relates to this kind of pattern is actually speaking up and actually creating and holding boundaries. For example, when Mel talked about how her partner just leaves and doesn't say where he's going and she doesn't confront him because he gets triggered, well, I have some strong, I wouldn't even say it's an opinion. I have a strong value on that. If you're in a relationship, a partnership, a marriage, especially with children, of course you share where you're going. That's like a no-brainer. And sometimes we're so disconnected from our needs that what we tolerate and what we make okay is really wearing on our nervous system. So especially for a woman, not knowing where your partner or your child is. Now, again, like with my husband, I don't know where he is every second of the day. But if he just leaves the house, he always tells me where he is going, and vice versa. I know the password to his phone and his computer, not because I want to check up on him and he knows mine, because we have nothing to hide. We didn't come into a relationship to keep our freedom. We came into a relationship to be free to grow together. And what Mel has tolerated over time has perpetuated a more avoidant behavior on his part and a more anxious behavior on her part. And what, from my perspective, Mel's opportunity is to really become an advocate for her needs. When we do this pattern, it's like this dance between wanting someone else to meet our needs, but being so afraid to speak up for them, or moreover, not really even knowing what they are. So I love that Mel is aware of this, and she's going to take action, and she's going to advocate for the relationship and for her needs. Because if someone isn't willing to advocate for their needs and realize that it's okay to have needs in a relationship, then there's no way needs are going to be met. And it sounds like she has a huge, beautiful healing opportunity with her partner if he's willing to get out of this protective dance that probably both of them learned in childhood that's keeping them from real intimacy. We can't have real intimacy if we stay in our protective patterns. It's just impossible. And eventually a relationship kind of fizzles out because there's no growth, there's no healing. So I encourage you, if you relate to Mel or her partner, to actually lean into the relationship. Lean into your relationship with yourself, be able to identify those needs and advocate for them. I think where we get lost in personal development sometimes is over functioning, like working so much on ourselves, and we think that's going to fix the relationship, which is a huge part of it. But we've also got to be able to communicate our needs to a partner. And as a partner, we have to do our best to meet those needs. There's healthy needs in a relationship, like my nervous system actually needs to know where you're going when you leave the house. We have 2 young kids. Like, where are you going? Are you coming back? That's a valid need. So I want you to think about that. What are the needs that you have in your relationship? Or potentially, what are the needs that your partner has that for some reason you're not meeting? And how can, if we're talking relationally, you actually feed the relationship and not just yourself? All right, everybody, that's a show for today. Sending you so much love and many blessings. Until next time. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Life Coaching. I hope something you heard today resonated with you and helped you to see yourself with more clarity and compassion. Remember, every shift, no matter how small you think it is part of your healing. If this episode supported you, please consider sharing it with a friend or leaving a review. It means the world to me. If you'd like to connect with me, come say hi on Instagram at Christine Hassler. And if you feel called to be coached live on the show, you can apply at christinehassler.com/waitlist. For courses, retreats, and more resources to support your journey, visit christinehassler.com. You're not alone in this journey, and I'm grateful to walk it with you. Until next time.